Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, know your nation, know yourself. All right, this is a recording. I'm recording this. I'm not going live with this because it's too early. It is currently the 1st of December 2025 and it is 13:55 UK time, so it's basically just 2 in the afternoon um today. Let me just move my camera a little bit. I'm just going to look a bit random. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh god, anyway, I'm in too much of a flat. Let me just do it this way. Don't know, I wanted the background to be straight. Anyway, why am I on unexpected? Because I've just realized I just had a dream about giving Donald Trump a tarot reading, and I'm trying to remember the cards that he got, and it's just like, and it was just it in the dream. In a way, it felt so normal wouldn't be the word, but I was using the same discretion that I would use with any kind of like client that came to me for a reading. It happened in London. We're in London like this current time, and but there were strange things that were happening in the dream. First of all, the fact that he came to me in a dream for a reading, the way I'm interpreting that, what it tells me, that my instinct after having the dream is like, he's in a lot of trouble. He is in a lot of trouble. Where it tells me there is a lot going on behind the scenes that is unraveling for him. Now, look, you know already that I already was predicting this. Yeah, I said that while Jupiter was on transiting Jupiter was on Trump's natal Saturn in his 12th house with Venus and Pluto. 12th house member deals with losses, yeah, losses, endings, retirement. It can even mean prisons, hospitals, exile, all of that stuff. We have seen recently, isn't it, how everything is unraveling. Now he's come to me in a dream and I'm giving him a reading. And so what that took, the way I interpret that is that energetically, it tells me I think Trump is really starting to panic. Trump is really starting to panic, and he is reaching out almost like energetically, esoterically for help. I did not think I was even going to make this statement, of course, and not even you're probably thinking, "Oh, Hogarth, it's the afternoon. Why were you asleep?" I actually woke up very early this morning, did some things to do with tax, which I was really happy about. Paid some tax, blah blah blah. Ate some food, and then I just felt this sleep come over me, and I just thought, "Oh, wow, gosh." This was probably around about 11ish, 11:30 a.m. ish. I just felt this overwhelming sleep come over me. And whenever I get a sleep like that, I always obey. And then unusually for me, I just started to get quite into the dream state. And then Donald Trump came through for a reading. What was he wearing? He was wearing like one of his usual kind of suits, a steely bluish bluish gray suit. He was wearing like his normal red tie as you would expect, but he was very humble. He was very humble. He only had one or two security details, and we were, which part of London were we in? We, I wanted to say Paddington, but it's not. It's not. It wasn't that. Oh gosh, where were we? It's like an area. It's called sort of like Fitzrovia, and we were sort of between sort of like Euston and King's Cross, down one of the side roads. We were in this it's like I was giving him the reading, and it was like we were in like a gallery or something. Like, imagine a small London gallery, but there wasn't that many artworks on the wall. It was really weird because we were in like a room, and then what is started to happen is the room started to move. Like, it's like we were on the back of a vehicle. While I was doing the reading, the room that was next to us along the street also moved off earlier. And then we started to move. And then I apologized to him because I said to him, oh, crikey, you know, I probably should have checked why that first room moved. Anyway, he was fine with that. And I'm trying to remember the cards he got. I was giving him a 5-card spread, and we got through 3 of the cards. But the third card I didn't recognize because it wasn't in my deck, and it's not a card that I've seen before. It was like a combination. The energy of it that I was getting was something to do with Egypt, with pyramids, and it was also kind of like Freemason. I don't want to sound controversial, but it was kind of like an Illuminati card. There was a lot of codes and symbols in it. Oh my God, now my door's buzzing. 1 minute. Jesus. 1 second, I can't believe this. Hello, delivery. Oh Christ, I'm recording a live video on YouTube right now. What you're gonna actually, oh wait, is it just to do the little mini test? All right, thank you. All right. Interruptions. You see, this is live. It might not be a live video, but this is real life. You might hear some noise in the background because someone has come to do the weekly test on the fire alarm, and there's going to be like a bit of sound in the background. Anyway, interrupted. It was this kind of, I remember it because it was a very golden card, and it had like geometric shapes. Can you hear that? Anyway, geometric shapes. What else was on there? Geometric shapes. It's like layered pyramids. I think it was like 3 pyramids, but like outlined were like these. It looked like a kind of like an ancient seal. And when we got interrupted, we would go back over the reading. Trump was understanding the reading that I was giving to him, and I was just giving him just honest advice. But after the building moved, it's like the reading was interrupted because literally the building started moving. And then he was touching the cards and trying to say back what I said to him. But when it got to that kind of cryptic card, he was really slurring his words, and he just couldn't. In fact, it wasn't even just that card. When he started to read back to me what I said to him, it was kind of slurred and garbled. And as he went through card to card, it got worse. Then he got a bit distracted because one of my friends, who's an actress, she's called Payvand. And I don't know why she was in the dream. And I introduced the two because, you know, she had shown up. And I remember my coat and our belongings. Trump had belongings, I had my belongings. They were attached to London black railings or something, and they went along with the building as well. So we were just collecting everything afterwards. And she was like, "Oh, Huggy, how you been doing?" I said, "I'm good." And I said, "Look, you know, this is President Donald Trump. You know, would you like to meet him?" And she thought I was joking at first. And she was like, "Oh shit." And then she started feeling a bit fun, like acting a bit weird because it was Donald Trump. I said, "Look, don't worry. You know, he's a client, you know, it's fine." And then I was working, and it was the way he was interpreting things. I remember the cards that he got, it was the reading, it was about him increasing his self-awareness in terms of the cards that he got. I can't tell you what cards they were specifically, but the reading was about him increasing his self-awareness and making him realize that he was being betrayed. So like what the reading was showing is that there were a lot of people that were out to get him now, and that he was being betrayed. But when he was reading, when he was touching the cards and trying to go back over what I said to him, it was garbled. He could process it, but it was like, and it was almost not baby speech, but there was almost splutter. And what that tells me is that I think he's aware that he's in danger, but he's not sure what to do about it. What this tells me is I think that his faculties must be declining quite a lot, because the reading I was giving to him was quite simple. And in terms of the outcome, before things changed, because I was starting to leave the dream state, and I think the advice that I was giving him, I said to him, like, you've got to go. Like, it's not even safe for you to stay. And it was like, one of the cards must have been the Six of Swords. I think one of the cards was the Six of Swords. I cannot. And then I was giving them that advice, then I started to wake up from the dream, and then I was starting to realize, I was like, oh my God, I was dreaming. It felt so vivid and real. I really felt like I was with him in his in his presence, and he was very humble. He had genuinely he had come for advice. I don't know how he found me. He said that he'd heard of me. I mean, come on, no. I mean, I doubt that very, very much. But it was like he was like giving the charm, and he's like, oh yeah, you come recommended, what have you. But it was only 2 security details. So if we were to apply this to real life, it would have been someone who maybe discreetly watches the channel, something like that, and has given him a quiet word. A family member. Oh my God, I want to say Ivanka. How weird is that? To try and just give him this, but the whole point of the reading was that his main people around him didn't know. They didn't know that he had reached out in that way. So how I'm interpreting that, I mean, obviously he's not come to me for a physical reading, but maybe what I'm picking up on is that Trump is, I'm seeing the High Priestess in my mind's eye, which of course is my card for Netanyahu. Maybe Trump is reaching, I think he's looking for help. This tells me things are even more critical. I mean, look, we can see MAGA is imploding. Do you remember I said the reality check? Let me actually just do an actual reading. The reality check is really kicking in, and I think he is running out of road. I think he is really feeling the pressure. And do you remember when the last reading I did for him, do you remember I said they want him dead now, because he's not useful to them anymore. And I think the Mamdani thing was one of the last straws. Obviously the Baba blowjob stuff, but I feel like the Baba blowjob and Mamdani was like, for them, that was like sacrilege that he could be so admiring of that man. Yeah. It was like a major, major faux pas. So within himself, it tells me that actually Trump is kind of reaching out for help, but not in an obvious way. He has to maintain a veneer, but it's like that Mamdani thing. It was like not for me. I mean, I was a lot of people were shocked. I wasn't shocked. Like I said, Doug Larange likes them tall, dark, and handsome. Let's just put it that way. And it's the dementia is the breakdown, the cognitive breakdown is acting like a truth serum. Let's not forget Trump was a Democrat before he decided to go Republican. This does, of course, I'm not absolving him. Of course not. But I'm just saying we need to remember where his deepest instincts are. And I think Mamdani brought out his deepest instincts, which is that he essentially agreed with him. And he just said, he confessed. That meeting was a confessional where Trump revealed something very truthful that he shouldn't have done, but he couldn't help himself because he wasn't able to keep up the act anymore, the usual act. Oh God, why can't I remember those other cards? But I can remember the that mystical one. What that tells me is interesting, is it, that I can't remember. The last one may have been the Six of Swords, which is probably why I gave him advice saying, look, dude, you need to go. But the fact that this kind of, I know it sounds conspiracy theory, isn't it? But it was a kind of like Illuminati card. The fact that that card is the one that I can remember, but it's not in any deck. It's not in any deck that I've seen before. And I was like, even though we were using my cards when this card showed up, inwardly I was like, whoa, where has that come from? But I can't say to the, even though he's a douchebag, I can't say to the president of the United States, oh, I don't recognize this card in my own deck. But it was something that's not in a usual tarot deck, and it had a lot of power. What this is showing me is that there are a lot of forces. What this tells me is that there are a lot of forces behind Trump that want him to do their bidding for their own agenda, which we don't even know about now. Of course, you can say, well, Hoagie, that's easy, Project 2025, etc. And that's obvious. We know the billionaires have an agenda, but there's an agenda even behind that, which is why the billionaires are even doing this stuff in the first place. And I think it's to do with that card. That's what that was about. It's something very high level, esoteric, not good. And it's to do with seals upon seals. And that's why I'm saying it was like golden pyramids layered. And then there was another geometric shape outline. It was almost like the card was like 3D. It was a card, and it was actually bigger than the other ones. And it had their gold. And I want to say there's like an emerald-like green thing at the center when I just go back into my mind's eye. But it's like the pieces on, even just when I'm looking at it now, the pieces move like this. It's a tarot card that I've never seen in my life. Very powerful, very esoteric. So let me see. What shall I? What was the dream about? Is Trump in danger, or is he about to flee? What was the dream about? And I only just literally, like the second that I just realized, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to talk about this. Do you remember my last dream of Donald Trump, guys? Which was a good few months ago now, back in the summer. And do you remember I said everyone was talking about Trump, everyone was talking behind his back of how to get rid of him. And I said even people from the other side that were dead were trying to help with him being ousted. Do you remember that dream? Look back through my catalog. And do you remember I said my dreams tend to come 3 to 6 months, come true 3 to 6 months after I have them. So I had this back in, when was it? August, September? I'm trying to remember now, and I'll have to look. I have to look up when it was, and look what has transpired since. And now he's come to me again, but this time it's more urgent. Like, the last time it was, remember, it was a big party and I was in Burberry, London or something like that. This, he'd actually come to me for a reading, and he was humble. What wasn't rude. What was that reading about? What was that dream reading about? Is Trump in danger, immediate danger, or is he about to flee? Trump in danger, or is he about to flee? And it's always when I'm minding my own business. I've got a quiet day today, one client this evening. I was just like, oh, I can chill. Ooh. This is really interesting. The first card is not necessarily what you would expect. Yeah. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. I know exactly what this is. Here you see the Three of Cups, which of course normally talks about, you know, you can see here celebration, having a party, etc. But you remember, guys, when I do my political readings on Trump, when this comes up, this is the Epstein files. Yeah. These are the women and girls that were exploited. Yeah. These are all the parties. Yeah. These are all the parties that Trump was having, particularly in his heyday, where the women were dancing. And it's also, you guys would have seen the footage. Do you remember that footage where he's whispering and he's talking with Epstein, and he's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, look at that one over there. And, you know, the girls are all dancing around. Remember from like back end of the 90s or early 2000s, yeah? Looking at the women dancing. So this is saying to me, Epstein, yeah? It's the Epstein, it's the Epstein files. And maybe this is part of what the urgency is about, why he's kind of reaching out energetically for help. Yeah, because of the files. If we look here in his obstacle position, he gets the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords can talk about a sharp, exacting mind, a sharp, it particularly can talk about a woman, doesn't always have to be a woman, but it's a sharp, exacting mind, even a cruel mind. This is talking about discernment. This is talking about judgment. This is talking about things being clinical. So what this is saying to me is there's an element here of the law catching up with him. This is, oh, of course, this of course can be, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, in her more sharper, because look, it's a woman in of course, look, yeah, sorry, forgive me, I'm a little bit tired, so normally my brain would get there quicker. Epstein files, yeah, Epstein files, all the parties with the women. Who's been in main opposition? A female that has been part of his team that has been in main opposition to that, of course, has been what? Who? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sometimes she shows up as the Queen of Wands, but now she's been extremely critical. Yeah, she's been what? Very sharp, very incisive. Also dropping the grenades, the bombs. Yeah, truth bombs on X and all of that stuff, saying, oh, if you see yourself as men and blah blah blah, you get yourself to the kitchen, you cook for yourself, all of that. I can't remember it, but I was watching on Midas Touch. So here we go. Epstein files, opposition. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene being slicing and incisive, causing Trump a lot of damage. Now, if we look here in the middle card, we have the Magician. Now, you guys will know when I'm reading politically, this is often my Elon Musk card. Oh my God, is Trump reaching out to Elon? It doesn't have to be literally Elon. This is the card of what? Using all the resources at your disposal. The shadow, and this is about trying to manifesting, yeah, using your resources to manifest. But when we're talking about this politically, this can also be the card of manipulation. But this is also a card of kind of very profound intelligence as well. But remember, Trump was slurring his words. This is more to do with the people around him. And this is probably what the what the Illuminati card, this, I know that's controversial, but it's the words that come to my mouth. This can talk about what Illuminati, magicians, magi, big plans, people with a lot of power. For me, the magician card is one of the most powerful in the deck. And I think I'm drawing a correlation between that Illuminati card that I saw and the magician here. These are the people around Trump manipulating Trump for their own main agenda. Yes. So we have the Epstein files, which are there. Marjorie Taylor Greene is in opposition. She wants everything released, and she's gathering her troops around her, her alliances around her. But there are the forces that are manipulating Trump, seeing the bigger picture of what they want to impose in the world. However, if we look here, we get the Page of Swords. Remember, pages are always about messages. And I associate the Page of Swords in particular with the media, social media. This can be things like TikTok, YouTube, independent media. This can be youthful voices, but again, with a sharpness, a sharp tongue. I was watching something on iHip News, and they were discussing one of the speechwriters for the Obamas, who was there saying, "Oh, all these kids, the kids die, because of TikTok. You're now emotionally blackmailed by all of these dead kids on TikTok. And we need to basically change the algorithm of TikTok so we're not bombarded with this anymore." Yeah, she wasn't saying that the genocide was wrong, nothing like that. She's just like, oh, this emotional blackmail. Yeah, because it's obviously been revealed. People can't even deny it. And this is prominent Jewish people as well, saying, like, not in my name. I've seen the footage, bullets in the head and, all of this stuff. I've just seen various different things where there have been clips of people pushing back against the narrative. Yeah. So here there is this element here where, yes, it's making more sense. There are the grand manipulators that are trying to control the narrative. They want the conversation to go their way because it's part of a bigger plan that they have. And Trump was part of their plans all along. Yeah. They back both sides. I was just watching something on I can't remember what he's called now, but one of the big guys. It wasn't Altman, it wasn't Teal, it was, oh crikey, I can't remember his name. Sorry. Here, 5 of Wands, conflict, disarray, turmoil, political infighting. This is MAGA breaking apart. Yeah. As much as they're trying to control the powers behind, or shall we say the Illuminati or the elites, like with that card, which is the only card that I strongly remember, apart from the 6 of Swords for Trump's reading, it's their efforts are being foiled by the truth coming out, what is being shared on social media. This is why they want to change the algorithm of social media to reduce the outrage. But so far it's not working because MAGA is breaking up. Yeah, because MAGA realizes it's not for them. Let me pull some clarifiers. Trump is being controlled. Well, we know that anyway. There's compromise on him, but he's really being controlled. What is happening is that the mental deterioration, it is affecting his ability to perform, to act out his role. And Mamdani was a major crack in that edifice that those truly in power did not want him to do. So some clarifiers. All right, so no, let's make it a new reading. Let's make it a new reading. Is Trump in immediate danger now because he let the edifice slip? because they've got what they wanted out of him? Is he no longer useful? Wow, gosh, I was not expecting to do this. You can see it's daylight, which normally I record at night. Look here, you can see it's daylight. That's the part. Gloomy November day. Bit of a come down after Gran Canaria. It's a fabulous party. Then, my God, it was so good. One of my best parties I've ever thrown. Okay, is Trump in danger? Is Trump in danger now that he's served his purpose? I never thought in a million years that Trump would come to me for a reading in a dream. Quite proud of myself. I didn't judge him. I never judge a client ever. I just gave him the reading, but he wasn't in a good way. I see. Yeah. All right. Let's see what's going on. I'm not sure if he's in so much physical danger, but I can see what their game is. So if we look here, how many times when I do a political reading on the GOP, how many times does this card come up? Yeah, 10 of Cups, which is the way I interpret this card politically now is it's too good to be true. Trying to project this idyllic image. Everything's fine, you know, like they were saying the other day, because look here, we see the family here. You got the husband, you got the wife, you got the kids playing, and look, they're holding up their hands, and it's like that's what the regime is doing. Everything's fine, folks. Yes, Thanksgiving dinner is down. Oh, enjoy the holidays. Everything is cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Prices are down. Prices are down. Prices are down. Yeah. Have you been noticing that? This kind of hysteria that is starting to come in, particularly with Caroline Levitt, you know, lying Levitt with a BS the other day, trying to make out that Thanksgiving dinner and everything was down. They said the way that they did that, it was only in brand only at the lowest possible price. And they removed several key important items on the Thanksgiving dinner to try and give the impression that it was down. Rubbish. Everyone knows that prices are absolutely through the roof in America, but you see, they're still, so they're going to keep using Trump for as long as they possibly can to keep projecting this false image. They're trying to say that, announce that something that is too good to be true. The trouble is, we all know it's not true. Only the most delusional of the dipshit delusional MAGA will believe what this regime is saying now. If we look here, why they keep wheeling out grandpa to keep doing this? It's because of their investment. Yeah, think of that magician card. These are the investors, the lobbyists. Yeah, the billionaires. This is a card of ROI, Seven of Pentacles. You know, I call it the card of ROI, which means what? Return on investment. They want Duck Orange and the regime to present this image that isn't true so that they get their full return on their investment, which of course is what? The big beautiful bill, or the big bullshit bill, as everyone is calling it. They are keeping him there until their return on investment is guaranteed, assured. Remember as well, these are also the people that want no checks and balances on AI and all of that kind of stuff for 10 years. Yeah, because they need to roll out these data centers, even though they use gargantuan amounts of energy and fresh water. This is why everyone's electricity bills are going up. and everyone's water bills are going up for those that are adjacent to these data centers, which they are rolling out everywhere. We look here, we see the clinical, cool and clinical King of Swords. So I think these are, now remember, I associate swords deal with the element of air, which is always about the intellect. The positive of the King of Swords is someone who's clean, rational judgment without any bias. But we know, because we're reading on politics and we're reading on Duc L'Orange, the shadow of this card is the cruel, disassociated man. Yeah, this card can also be like the sociopath or the psychopath, if you think about it, because we're talking about the people who've bankrolled this. Yeah, they want to see their ROI because they've got these clinical judgments. They are cold, they are unfeeling, they have no empathy. All they want is profit. Remember as well, I also associate the King and Queen of Swords with what? Numbers, accounting. They're just looking at their numbers. Yeah, they're going to project this fantasy onto the American public for as long as they can, so that they get their money back. They get their yield. This is why they're pushing. Have you noticed whenever you go on YouTube now, every advert is AI? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Use AI to this. Pushing. Yeah, because they're looking at the numbers. They're cold and clinical. They've got a target that they want to hit. And it doesn't matter about this family. They don't give a flying you know what about genuine families, but they'll project that image for their money. But look, they know that they are causing what? Poverty, disenfranchisement. You guys will remember a reading, was it last week? I think it may have been the last Wednesday. Yeah, it was the last Wednesday show. And we were talking about the GOP, and I got this card. I remember I said they were using disenfranchised people. I think we were reading on the guys, the Washington, D.C. National Guard that was shot. And you remember I said, well, it looks like you're using disenfranchised people out in the cold, or men that felt isolated and maybe had nothing to lose. And then I think Afefe Googled after we did the reading, and there was some guy from Afghanistan, if I remember correctly. But this is also talking about Trump's health. They know that his health is failing. Yeah. You know, they're cold and clinical. So it's almost like, well, we don't need to Charlie Kirk him. Yeah. We'll probably just let nature take its course. And then the outcome, though, card, you see, is the Seven of Wands. It's almost like, it's like they've put Grandpa out to fend for himself. I think they know they've lost the narrative, the argument, the narrative. They're gonna let Trump and the regime sort of like fight for itself. So remember, the previous card that we had as the outcome was the Five of Wands. So again, it's discord, but this is really having to fight your own corner. Maybe this is why he's kind of energetically reaching out, and maybe I've just picked up a bit on that radar because I'm quite, you know, dialed in with American politics and stuff, of Trump's internal panic. But it's almost like they're gonna push Grandpa to the exit, as long as they can keep this going for as long as possible. But I think they know that the time is limited. Trump knows that his time is limited, that his health is limited. It's failing. All right, let me just see, what else could I ask? How does Trump feel about his future? That's a good, there we are, that's that. I had to have a bit of Coke Zero to kind of wake me up a little bit. How is Trump feeling about his future and those around him? Let's ask that. How's Trump feeling about the future and those around him? Such a gloomy day today. How's Trump feeling about his future and those around him? How's Trump feeling about his future and those around him? Mm. Ah, he's planning to leave. Trump is planning to leave. Yeah, as you've heard me say for years and years and years, I said when the when the SHIT really starts to hit the fan, he's gonna get out of Dodge. It may not be this year because Jupiter is currently retrograding and it's on his Saturn in his 12th house. Yeah, remember, which is what? Foreign lands. Yeah, wait until. Oh my God. All right, let me just quickly share my screen. So remember, look, one minute. I've got the cards. I'm going to show you what the cards are after I've done this bit on Trump's chart. All right, 1 minute. Share screen. Caroline Levitt. Oh, look at this. There's something that's popped up here as a pop-up. Caroline Levitt panics after kidnapped relative reveals the truth. Ooh. Oh, God, I'm going to have to get that up. 1 second. Let me just get that up on a page. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 minute. I'm in a flap here because this is like... All right, so... Oh, all of these updates. Forgive me, 1 minute. Let me just go back to what I was doing. Oh, do you see how things are? There is so much going on. Like, even when you're trying to make a presentation, there's so much because this whole regime is breaking down. 1 minute, let me do the stop share and just show you what I clicked on. Then I'll get back to Trump's chart. Heavens. Sorry, guys. Here, this is what I saw was this. So this is just something 10 hours ago. So it says here, really American host Tony Heidemann breaks down Caroline Levitt's ex-sister-in-law, speaks out through a lawyer and calls for the press secretary targeting and then I think they wrote in a rush. Caroline Levitt panics after kidnapped relatives reveals the truth. What's this?
He does. Caroline Levitt is proving to be just as cruel as Ivan Drago, as this story of her sister-in-law getting swept up by ICE just keeps getting more unhinged. And now that sister-in-law is finally speaking out through her lawyer, and what she is saying makes Caroline Levitt seem about as evil as she looks. That golden cross isn't fooling anyone, Beelzebub. Unfortunately, ICE is ramping up its kidnapping campaign, as the Trump administration seems hell-bent on inflicting as much pain as possible.
All right, I don't have enough time to go into it because I need to carry on with my dream. What's this? Oh my God, there's just so much going on. Trump's insane threat as resignation bomb blow. Look at all this. Midas such for. Oh my goodness. All right, let me just Let me just stop the share there because it's almost overwhelming, isn't it? It's so much noise. Focus, Hoagie. Here. Share screen again. Entire screen. Right. Let's get Trump's here. Now, the important thing to look at now, you know here, TR transits, yeah? Here you see Pluto in sidereal Capricorn, yeah? This is why we're seeing so much come up now about what? Corporate manipulation, power, and control. As you guys know, I've been saying for ages that when Pluto goes into sidereal Capricorn, which it did on January 1st, 2021, what would be revealed would be all of like the elements of corporate control, manipulation, power grabs within the government. Yeah, this is beyond proven now. We can all see it with our own eyes, isn't it? I know I've labored the point, but sometimes you have to keep repeating things over and over, and then people get it. Yeah. So we know that the oligarchy is completely out of control. They've passed the big beautiful bill, or the big hideous bill, to get what they want. But now, of course, now that they're seeing that, now the politicians are seeing the political ramifications after the last big blue wave, the rats are starting to flee the ship. Stories are starting to come out, like what we just saw there, Caroline Levitt's sister-in-law abducted by ICE and blah, and I don't even have time to investigate all of that. Not yet. I'll probably look at it later. But there is Pluto there. Transiting Jupiter is now at 16 degrees of sidereal Cancer. So remember, on the 18th of October, he entered sidereal Cancer and basically began to totally squat on Trump's natal Saturn over here that I was talking about, yeah, with Venus and Pluto, yeah. And for Trump, that's in the 12th house. And remember, I said it means the land of far, far away, indirect income, etc., all of that stuff. Saturn is a planet of government. So this is literally talking about foreign governments. Here, Venus is what? Women, younger women in particular, yeah? So this is talking about what? The Epstein stuff. He literally did import, export, and trade in what? Young women and girls. Here, Pluto is here, which is showing what? The corruption, yeah? The underbelly, the darker side. So this is, again, exposing the international trade in young girls and women that Duck L'Orange was part of. And this is what the Epstein files, you know, are all about. But of course, we know that there was more than that, because the 12th house is also bed pleasures. And we know that there's been a certain Bubba involved, yeah, which is why I now call Duck L'Orange Bubba Blowhard. But that means there's even more. Yeah, it means that there's even more there going on, because we know that Trump now likes to play, you know, both sides, you know, he does. Anyway, the point is, transiting Jupiter, I said, while transiting Jupiter was on Trump's Saturn, I said that this would be the most important 7 weeks of his life. Yeah. And I was saying a lot is going to change. A lot is going to start unraveling. It is unraveling. What will happen is that Jupiter is going to go back into sidereal Gemini. I think it's in December. Let's do the animated transits. Let's just do weekly. So you see here, Jupiter down here. Let's just go forward weekly. Oh, in fact, oh my God, my door is buzzing again. Forgive me. Jesus. Oh. Hello, delivery. Hello. Hello? Delivery? Oh. Oh. It's that time of day. Sorry, guys, that I'm having to, because it's the time when deliveries come. I think my neighbor was down there and wasn't answering when I was talking. Anyway, let's just do this daily, because after a week he moves. Sorry, guys. As you know, I keep it real on this channel. All right, let's keep going. Keep focus here on Jupiter. So he goes to 12 degrees. Aha. So on the 5th of December, there or thereabouts, today is the 2nd, so only about 4 or 5 days from now, you see Jupiter retrogrades back into sidereal Gemini. Yeah, retrogrades back. And Gemini is all about communications. Yeah, all about communication, the media, emails, etc. All of this kind of stuff. Whenever a planet is retrograde, it means review, revise, reassess. So you're going to see a lot of people in press, in media, having to review, revise, reassess their messages. They may recalibrate their messages. They may review their messages, what they've been communicating to the public, this kind of thing. We're also seeing what these stories coming out about Caroline Levitt's, you know, sister-in-law, etc., blah, blah, blah. You know, either way, this energy is going to keep going for a while. The reason why I talk about Trump's 12th house, and I'll show the card reading that I got, is because the 12th house is also called what? The land of far, far away. It's in the 12th house. Saturn is there, which can mean foreign governments. It's also in the sign of Cancer, which is a water sign, which can mean traveling by water, etc. But it has a lot as well to do with the emotions. So it shows you that really Trump is actually a deeply emotionally volatile person. He is not consistent emotionally. We've seen evidence of that, but I'm just showing you in the chart. Now, if I stop the share there and go back to what I was doing, let me just have a slurp here. So that card that I pulled, look at the cards that I got. So remember I said, how is Trump feeling about the scenario? Here we've got the sun. This card for Trump is not really good news. Why? Because the sun card is about illumination, full disclosure. Yeah. The sun is like the sun is burning down on Trump's head. Everyone now is starting to see everything what? Clearly. The, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is now speaking out. Other people in the regime are contemplating resigning as well. We'll have to see. I'm sure they'll be twisting their arm because it would be the end of the Republican Party, but they already know it's already over. But the reason why I chuckled before is because the sun card can talk about hot, sunny places in the world. There's quite a few hot, sunny places in the Middle East, isn't there? And you guys know I've said this already. If he leaves, it will be either exile to either Israel or Saudi Arabia. That's what I suspect. Yeah, hot, sunny places. So what is this sun card is giving the full disclosure. Trump is literally feeling what? The heat. People around him are starting to feel the heat, because it's becoming increasingly clear to everyone as Saturn does his work, going retrograde with Neptune. Do you remember I said illusions and delusions will be destroyed? Illusions cannot survive in the presence of reality. And you would have also heard me say in the past as well, I said, in a crisis, the pocketbook screams the loudest. People are feeling it, what? In their pockets. This is what is starting to give people clarity now, because they're like, I'm poorer. All the prices just keep going up and up and up. They keep telling me the prices are going down. This is BS. It's not matching. Yeah, when his regime started back in January, you know, you can still get away with those kind of arguments. But now, of course, as time goes on, particularly as the tariff costs, because it did turn out that a lot of retailers did actually swallow quite a lot of that tariff. They're not going to be able to do that anymore because the new inventory or the old inventory has run out. Remember, they pre-ordered. So look, clarity here. Like it's like For most ordinary people, getting the sun is a positive card. But if you're Count Dracula, you know, you don't want to see the sun, do you? Yeah. Anyway, we look here at the next card. Because the first one is positive, this one is reinforcing. Look, deals, partnerships. Trump is working on an exit strategy. I really do. I feel like the Saudi prince coming over and then the two of them grinning there in the Oval Office was not a coincidence. Yeah. He's making deals, not just for his own enrichment. Yeah. But he's making deals. Look at the middle card. The devil. Yeah. Now we know he's made a deal with the devil. And like I said, not even the devil trusts. South Park are really onto something, you know, because even the devil gives, you know, Trump side eye while he's carrying Trump's baby. I mean, you can't make it up, can you? But look, what is this talking about? These are talking about what? Shady deals with very dodgy people. Yeah. We know that Trump has done deals to sell out the American people, but this is his dark deal. Yeah, maybe for him to what? Escape to a sunny place, should needs be. But either way, yeah, this is the card of what? Greed, corruption. This can also talk as well about psychosis, deep mental illness as well, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of like it's that element of being tied to things, obligated to things. I think this is also what the compromat, yeah, on Trump and the regime. You see here, these chains are loose. These chains are loose. They could untie themselves at any moment, but they choose not to, yeah, because the devil here has got so much compromat, compromising things on them. But just in case we weren't sure, we get the Ace of Pentacles, which is about the what? The money. It's all about the money. He has been given deals. He has done deals with people in sunny places, yeah? People in hot, sunny places. He's done deals with dodgy deals for his own financial enrichment and those of his friends. And then just to be for spirit to make it absolutely clear to me, we then get the Eight of Wands. Wands, as you know, I associate with entrepreneurship, but Eight of Wands in particular, I associate with emails, communications, but also flying, things that fly through the air. So when you put that all together, Duck L'Orange is probably going to flee. It's going to fly through the air because he's got his money. He's done his, what, dodgy deals, yeah? Dodgy deals, because full illumination has come. And he'll probably fly to a sunny place. If you strip these two out, yeah, flying to a sunny place. That's how I interpret that. So I think there's a lot that is in place already, which has been dealt with behind the scenes. And then when the time is right, or when things get so bad, assuming he's corpus mentis enough, I think Trump will flee. I can't see him wanting to stick around for or the consequences of what he and his regime have instigated, particularly if this becomes a global thing as well, which it most likely will. And I think that's why energetically, I don't think he knows me. I think that would be virtually impossible. That would be impossible. But I just find it so interesting that he came to me in dream state for a reading. And that part of the reading that I was giving to him is that he would have to flee the country. and I was saying, look, you're going to have to go to Saudi. I said, you're going to have to go to Israel or Saudi, basically. I mean, where else in the world would have him? He doesn't want to be in Russia, too cold. And then the fact that I've done these readings and it has shown up. These weren't the cards that he got in the I don't recognize this being the cards that he got in the reading, but it was more to do with that Illuminati card. But it backs up what I've been talking about, and you see it also as well astrologically as well. So in call it 6th of December, Jupiter will retrograde back into Gemini, and it will stay there for a good while, retrograding, then going direct, and then he will re-enter sidereal Cancer again on June 1st, 2026. So that might be the time, yeah, in the summer when America will become 250 years old, because this is also talking about the summer. Yeah, this could be the time in summer where these deals that he has made, yeah, these dodgy deals with the devil, yeah, he's made, that might be when he has all the financial things in place. Or indeed, this can also talk as well about the economy. Yeah, look, the sickness in the economy, the corruption in the economy, the lies about the economy. He's already, remember, they're already lying about the jobs numbers. Like it, some people saying that 24 million jobs in America have actually been lost when you collate everything and stuff like that. I need to double check my facts on that one, but I'm seeing that a lot. I think when, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? When the ugly truth, the devilish manipulation of the economy comes out. Remember as well, we got these fantastic these 7 tech companies are the only ones holding the economy up. Imagine when that goes pop, or people just realize that they've had their farmland sold out for just for data centers. I think when that is fully revealed, that is when he gets on a plane and goes. So I'm going to say, yeah, it could be maybe Trump flees on or around or close to America's 250th birthday. Maybe in the summer. Could be sooner, but I don't think so yet. I think it has to really, really sink in, and we're going to be getting closer to those midterms, assuming that they happen. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. I hope you found that interesting. That was quite intense for me, and sorry about the interruptions, but what could I do? It's that time in the afternoon where things are delivered, people collecting stuff and whatnot. So yeah, strange. Very, 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 very strange. Anyway, I will leave it there. Please, of course, be sure to like and share and subscribe and hype and all that stuff. And you will catch me soon on Wednesday. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.